welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 111 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Let's get started. We start with the Bell's Hells and the Mighty Nine in Lake Umamu. Lana asks why there's only 7 of them and why they call themselves the Mighty Nine. Caleb notes that they've been asked this before, and Jester simply says that they have Caleb's cat, and she has Sprinkle, so technically they have 9. Sprinkle meets Pate. Sprinkle doesn't talk to Pate, but Pate and Lana are still happy to meet him, and she takes him and makes him into a puppet. Chetney informs the Mighty Nine that they were the ones to find this backdoor entrance onto the moon. Bo says that she remembers them. The party asks her how the two of them got out of the dig site when they first met, and Bo explains that they were teleported out just like them. Fern asks about Plane Rider Rin and if they know what happened to her, but Bo doesn't know, and then the party remembers that they found pieces of her at the dig site the next time they went there. Jester introduces herself and Ford and says that they're pirates. Ford actually explains that they're not pirates, they are merchants. Veth asks what they can expect on the moon, but no one really answers this question, but Chetney does hit on her. Veth doesn't reciprocate the flirting. Veth is currently wearing a Catwoman-type suit. She explains that she got all suited up to save Luke after he teleported away with the Mighty Nine, but by the time she got there, everything was safe. Everyone was fine. She also claims that she has an open relationship with her husband, but Caleb sees right through this. Fern asks about Veth's son, and the party give a quick rundown of what the Mighty Nine one-shot was not too long ago. Veth doesn't want Luke to get too cocky, as there's a girl at the camp named Beth that she's worried about that he'll leave with her one day for, just randomly out of the blue. Caduceus asks for the most level-headed person of the Bell's Hells, but the Bells aren't really all that sure of who that is. Caduceus then walks over to Orm and Imogen, the correct choice, by the way. He asks for what the plan is, and if they're leaving today or tomorrow, or if they want to stay and have some dinner. The Bell's Hells say dinner sounds great, and Caduceus goes off to start making it. Imogen asks the Nine how much they know about everything that's going on. The Nine say not much, and the Bells inform them of what's been going on and how Ludinus is involved. The parties introduce themselves fully now. Ford mentions that he and Jester are engaged. Veth is pissed that Ford didn't get her a ring, but Ford says that he had the fire-resistant ring, that she had the fire-resistant ring already. Yasha introduces herself, and the party all go over who is what couple, or how many couples there are. Obviously, there's Yasha and Bo, there's Imogen and Laudna, there's Ford and Jester. Caleb asks about Breas, who keeps looking at Jester. He feels like he knows her. Breas asks the party where they're from, and they say Wildmount. Breas says that he's from Zadash. The Nine note that they've been there a handful of times before. Ford then asks about the Platinum Sanctuary, based on Breas' armor, I assume. Jester and Veth then recall what they did and how sick it was. They seem to be playing it up like it was a great practical joke. Ford plays it off, claiming that the two of them are taking credit for something that someone else did. Jester then tries to do the same and says those poor people at the temple and tries to hug Breas. She tells him that he can follow the Traveler if the Platinum Dragon doesn't really work out. Breas asks about what the Traveler is about, and Jester explains causing chaos and drawing dicks. Breas then says that she ruined his life. Yasha pulls out her sword. Breas pulls out his flail. Tensions rise. Jester tries to charm Breas, literally with friends, but he saves. Ford suggests that Yasha and Breas actually do have a fight after they eat so they can get all the tension out. Yasha thinks that that's a good idea for him to have a last meal. Breas says that they can table this discussion for now. He'll get his way. Ford asks about Ashton being well, because he's all cracked and there's literally a crystal in his head. Caleb looks at Ashton and is aware of a man with a crystal head from Essek. He knows based on what he sees that Ashton is the person that Essek was talking about. And Caleb ignites Fortune's favor in Ashton's head and asks how he got his head the way it is. Ashton explains the same thing we've heard a million times. Dorian recalls the paintings on Essek's walls, and the rest of the party realize that the Nine are the people in those paintings. Dorian tells the Nine that they actually know Essek. The Nine ask how they met him, and the Bells say that they were their guide in Aor. Caleb asks about the foes that they'll be fighting. Imogen says that they'll be fighting the Weave Mind. Fern gives a side comment saying, good luck. Not the greatest thing to hear. Caleb asks for any weaknesses, and Imogen doesn't really know any and explains what the Weave Mind are. Lana shows off the different types of Rylorians that they'll be meeting when they go up there using Minor Illusion. Imogen says that she shares their mind abilities. Caleb then asks if they are staying tonight or if they're going right now. That dictates what he'll be able to do for the next hour. Imogen explains that there is a back door in the lake. This freaks out Beth because she can't swim, but the Bells explain that they won't need to swim. The druids will handle it. Ford says it should be up to the Bells. They're the ones with the most information. Imogen says that they're on a time crunch, and Caleb says that they can give themselves bonuses if they choose to eat or not eat, depending on what they do. And at this moment, Caduceus brings out dinner. The Bells ask about Caduceus. He says that he's from a small temple and he has connections to the Wild Mother, the Archheart, and the Matron of Ravens. The party find that very strange, as those are the gods they've all met recently. Caduceus says that he likes Boreas' armor and notes that he has a scowl. Veth says that he needs help to relax, and Jester says that Veth was also at the temple, but Boreas says that it was Jester and a goblin, so Veth is in the clear for this crime. Veth takes Boreas aside to relax him somehow. The 9 hells begin to eat up. Imogen is getting overwhelmed by the voices that she's hearing, mostly from Jester, who has a non-stop mind who's always singing in her head. Bo asks how long the journey will take to get to the city, and the Bells say that it'll take a few days if they walk. Caleb asks if they have an object from the city that he could use to teleport them there. Lana has a few items, like an alien baby, a juggernaut finger, and a glass figurine that she got from a shop there. Orem asks if the 9 are good at sneaking around, and Jester says yes. Insight check from Dorian, natural 20. She seems to be truthful about that. They can be if they want to be. Chetney thinks teleportation might be the best way to move, because then they don't have to waste time getting there. No risks of fighting anything or anything like that. Chetney says that they need to meet up with the Volition as well. Chetney has Lunas' staff, so he can teleport people as well. Caleb wants to wait for night to stack the deck in their favor, as he puts it. He can call up the tower and they can rest up there. Ashen wants to get to the moon sooner than later. Caleb says that he can put the tower up wherever. The rest agree to that idea of going to the moon and then putting the tower up, whatever the tower means. Jester goes over to Boreas. She apologizes for ruining his life, and that wasn't the point. It was meant to be funny. She was trying to show the traveler a show of artistic faith. Boreas says that wasn't art, it was vandalism. Jester says that she does real art as well, like the ones that are in Caleb's house that Boreas has seen. Boreas asks to see some of her current art right now, and she pulls out a painting from her pink bag of holding. It's an unfinished naked Ford piece, which she will be giving to him as a wedding gift. Boreas shows her an unfinished piece of Orem as well. Jester likes it and asks when he started doing art. He claims that he found his art after she ruined his life. She thinks that some good has come out of all this then. He says that he lost his way and his fiancée, Susie Green, she was awesome. Jester asks why she left for losing his job, and he says that he was from the dynasty as a religious refugee, and when he lost that status, his family was sent back and he couldn't be with her anymore. Jester asks if he wants to send a message to her and explain how great he is now. He explains what she looks like and to send a message to her. He says that she was a quarter minotaur with glasses and a fat ass. Those are only some of the ways that he used to describe her. I just thought those were the funniest. He explains what to say to her, and Jester sends the message and says, Susie, listen, I'm here with Boreas. He's a shell of a man. He misses you so much, but he's become important and super powerful, okay? Jester hears someone wake up and say, what? Who the hell is this? Boreas, what kind of joke is this? The time difference between the locations means that Susie Green was sleeping when Jester sent this message. Caleb is smiling, looking at what's going on, knowing that Jester is Jester. Jester sends another message. Listen, I'm the person responsible for ruining his life, but now he is strong and he is even being sent on a secret mission. You're at the front, and she runs out of words. Boreas asks the front of what, and Jester says that she was going to say front of his thoughts. Persuasion check from Jester, and she rolls a 10. She hears, look, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're trying to do, but that was long ago. Leave me alone. Jester says that she sounds gross, like she let herself go. Boreas asks if it was even the right person, and Jester says Susie said that she let herself go too much for Boreas, and that he has too much power for her now. Insight check from Breas and deception check from Jester. Jester rolls a natural 20. Breas says something must have happened to her and wonders if Jester helped him dodge a bullet. He says that he has a lot to think about and thanks Jester. Breas says it seems that Yasha still wants to fight him. Jester says that she wants to fight everybody, so it's not that big of a deal. He says that he will fight her to blow off some steam if she wants. Yasha is currently over in the corner sharpening her sword, and Bo is hyping her up. Jester tells Yasha and Bo that Breas will fight to blow off some steam if they want after dinner. Caleb says that they can do it in the tower, and the rest agree. Jester gives Fern a cupcake. Ashton then looks over at Dorian and says that this is actual hell. That was more so a note for the players because they constantly had to swap between their voices, and Matt was looking like he was having so much fun watching them all have to play multiple characters. It was awesome. Fern thanks Jester for the cupcake as they recently lost their baker, so this was quite nice. Caleb says that he's sorry about them losing FCG, or as he puts it, the shiny one, and he says that they understand that pain. Yasha says that they lost one of their best friends. Ford does mention that he came back a little different, however. Fern says that they all have parts of him to remember him by. Jester asks how they have parts of him, and Chetney explains that he was a Aoratom, a robot. He gave his life to protect them. Imogen notes that it's a little weird that they actually wear pieces of him, because she doesn't. I think she's one of the only people who doesn't, along with Dorian. Bo says that they actually carried around Molly's jacket for a long time, so it's actually understandable they have a piece of him. Bo wants to go to the moon. Veth freaks out a bit because they'll have to go through water, but the Bells say that Maeve will deal with the water for them so she doesn't have to worry. Fern asks Veth about her open relation status with her husband, and Veth comes clean and says that she feels bad about saying that she doesn't have an open relationship with her husband. He's a great guy. The 9 Hells head to the lake and meet up with Maeve, who sets up a group of druids, all facing the lake. Orym tells Maeve that they're ready to go, and Maeve tells them to move quickly. Lita asks if they're going, and Orym says yes. Lita says she looks forward to them coming back and sharing this experience with each other. He looks forward to it as well and tells them to be careful wherever they end up. They hug. Orym says, like Dad taught us. Lita then gives a speech to hype up everyone in the area, and then Maeve hugs Orym as well. She then starts the spell with the group, and the lake splits like the Red Sea. Bo darts down ahead, moving through this difficult terrain like ease, like nothing's bothering her. It is really gross and slushy at the bottom of the lake. Yasha picks up Veth, but Veth asks to ride Breas. Yasha then puts her on him and slaps him on the ass and says, "Yah." The party then walk down the path. Ford summons Starrazor and makes it emit some light, so they have light down there. They eventually reach the deepest part of the lake, where they come to a bunch of rocks and see a black tunnel going down. Caduceus jumps down into the rock tunnel. The water that would be there is currently being held back. He looks for any carvings to note any teleportation sigils, and he doesn't see anything. Imogen follows in after him, and they walk into the open chamber, and the rest of the party follow as well. Not long after that, the water all comes through, and it's now the normal stream that they saw before. They move to the tunnel that they used to reach the surface last time. The 9 understand a large creature definitely made this tunnel, as they have experiences with very similar tunnels. Imogen asks if it would be better to teleport to the city tonight and then rest, and Caleb actually agrees. Imogen says that she can send a message to the glass shop owner and Kaviris, and they can set up the tower in the basement. Jester and Dorian are excited that they are on the moon, and they make a ton of noise. Orym tells them to stop and listens for any creatures coming close to them now. He hears a heavy storm up top, but no monsters. Caduceus says that he can handle the storm if need be, if they're going to be walking through it, which is an interesting thing, honestly. I'm kind of curious how his magic would interfere with it. Imogen then sends the message to Zess. We need a safe haven. Is the weapon shop clear, just for a moment? She gets an answer. Things are very intense around here. It's cluttered, but should serve as a safe space for now. Yasha says that Imogen is very precise with their messaging. Jester says that she could do it if she wanted to, but it's a waste not to use all of her words. Caleb asks for the statue from the glass shop and then asks about the glass. Lana explains that the glass weapons have a link to the people of Ruidus, or Ruidus Borns, and their psychic abilities. Jester looks at Ford and says that they are on the moon. Ford says they should have a honeymoon on the moon. Jester says that they should get married before the fight just in case they die. Caleb says that they can actually make a small ceremony in the tower, but Jester says that she wants a big one. Brea says that he can hold a ceremony for them. Ford says that Jester needs time to prepare, and Jester agrees. Lana shows the glass blades that Shasimi has as her hands and says that these have a higher chance to crit if you're near a Rudis born, and they deal extra damage if they're near one. The party notes that the Mighty Nine don't have any Rudis born, but Lana says that they'll be fighting plenty of Rudis born people, so it'll work, hopefully. Chetney pulls out the staff. Caleb will teleport the bottom row of the table, like literally if you were looking at the table of who's on the top or who's on the bottom. Chetney will teleport the top, Caleb will teleport the bottom. That way everyone's characters are together if they do happen to split up somehow. They both cast their spells and they both make it with no issue. They're in the basement of the glass shop. All 15 of them are now in this small little basement, and they make enough space for Caleb to do what he's doing. Caduceus casts Detect Magic and only sees the items that the party has on them. Chetney takes 14 damage from the staff because the Ludinus staff is dangerous. Caleb then casts Widowghast's 9-sided tower. He opens the door, Chetney sniffs the door, and smells pancakes. They all head inside. They follow Caleb up the stairs and they begin to float upwards up this tower. Caleb says that they aren't on the moon anymore. Jester says that they don't have to be quiet here anymore either, as she begins to float up. The bells then begin to float up as well. Ashen immediately darts to the top floor. He gets to the top and sees that there is a closed shutter above him that looks like it opens up to another floor, but the floor he's on was made for them as they entered by Caleb. Caleb says that they can go almost anywhere. There are certain rooms they can't go in. Lana then begins to spider climb all over the fucking tower, which is a funny and terrifying visual. And she finds tunnels and scares a spectral cat who is walking in one of the tunnels. Lana can fit in the tunnels, and she goes in and is now climbing around inside the walls. The party scatter off to find places to rest inside this amazing tower. Caduceus and Jester make a midnight snack for Heroes Feast. Dorian asks if there's anything that makes music in the tower. Caleb says that he can just make a piano for him. And then Jester notes that Yasha plays the harp, and they will play together. Caleb makes the piano, and Yasha and Dorian start playing some music. Lana eventually comes out to a kitchen where she sees hundreds of spectral cats who hear bells and then begin running around. This kitchen seems to be some sort of central hub for the cats. They are the butlers of this tower. Imogen tells Laudna they are making a snack for everyone, and Laudna makes her way towards the music with no issue, as her background feature allows her to do such. She finds the room that they're all in. Jester's snacks look like hearts. Dorian and Yasha play a song called The Alabaster Baby, which, good for them. They both know the same song. Veth asks if Breas wants to dance. He looks very sad. Breas says that her friend freaks him out a little bit and asks if she's married, why she's asking someone else to dance. Veth says that she's very attracted to minotaurs, but she can't do this, and then runs off away from Breas, but then eventually comes back because they have to eat the snacks. Caduceus' food look like moon-shaped snacks, and the bells ask if this is their home. Bo says that she and Yasha have a place together near Caleb's place, which I thought one of them lived in Zadash and the other group lived in Rexentrum, so I'm confused. Fern wants to explore the tower, and she wants Jester to go with her. They want to transform, as they do this, into cats. But after they eat, the parties eat up, and they get 7 extra max hit points. I keep trying to say temp hit points. It's not true. 7 extra max hit points for the next 24 hours. They're also immune to poison, immune to being frightened, and have advantage on wisdom saving throws for the next 24 hours, which is huge moving forward. Caleb then casts Mind Blank on Yasha. For the next 24 hours, she is immune to psychic damage and can't be charmed or have her mind fucked with in any way. Again, massive if they fight the Weave Mind within the next 24 hours, which it seems like they might be. He then does it to himself. Caleb asks if the Bell's Hells have any prep they need to do, but the Bells don't really have any 24-hour spells like the other group does. Theirs is more like an hour long. Caleb goes to Orym. They both claim to have tried using their sending stones to call each other throughout the solstice. Caleb says that he can see Orm is very upset and Orm should be with his friends. Orm says that he doesn't want to be a burden on them. Caleb says that he shouldn't have to shoulder things alone. He should tell his friends and ask what is on Orm's mind. Orm says that they all have so much on their plate already. Caleb disagrees. They might not have time left. If not now, when? Lana then tries to talk to Bo, but Bo says no and walks away. It seems not everybody is keen at talking to themselves. Ashton goes to Yasha and asks how he got with Bo. Yasha says that she has zero game and doesn't understand how she got her either. Jester offers for some advice. Ashton accepts, and then Jester tries to guess who in the party that Ashton likes. She looks at the old man first and looks at Ashton. Ashton says that didn't end well. She then asks if it was the dead woman. Ashton says no. She then asks if it was the girl with the purple hair, and Ashton says no. Jester then asks if it's the girl with horns, meaning Fern. Ashton says yes. She tells him to explain everything that's happened, and he says that he's fucked up a lot, and sort of gives a brief rundown of everything that's happened, or how it would be perceived how everything has happened. Jester then simply says that Fern is hot. Jester gives him Tusk love and says the book has a lot of good information about girls that they like that they'll never tell anybody that they like, which is fucking hilarious. Jester says there's two ways to go about it. He could act super shy like Ford, or he could grab her and just go for it. Jester says if that fails, just tell her the truth and how he feels. Be honest. Jester then runs to Ford and kisses him because, she's just going to go for it. Fern has then turned into a cat, and she goes to Jester's leg and rub up against her, and then she leaves the room. Jester turns into a cat and joins her. Fern wants to go to where she's not allowed and feels that Jester will take her there. They reach the top floor where the shutter is once again, and it's closed. Jester looks for a tunnel going up, but she finds that there are no tunnels there. They get cut off at this point. The two then go into Veth and Caleb's laboratory and begin to break shit, because that's great. Bo finds Ford and asks what he thinks of the bells. He says that they seem like they're cannon fodder. They seem like they were just drawn at random and put together as a group. Bo thinks that they're more than likely going to die. What happens then? Do they go in and fight Ludinus? Ford says that that's their task and that they have their own task to focus on. Ford wonders if they should teach them anything, but Bo doesn't think it'll help in one night. Bo says if shit goes wrong, they should worry about themselves first. Ford says that that's actually a very fair point. Bo asks why they aren't the ones fighting Predathos. Ford wonders the same, but Bo thinks it's because none of them are Rudis-born, which is ding ding ding, the correct answer. Ford wonders if they could get one to switch teams, and Bo thinks that she might be able to get Fern to do so with just a lollipop alone. She seems easy. Bo says that she just wants to make sure that if things go bad, that they're all on the same wavelength. Ford says that he is, but Bo then says if they can help the party, meaning the Bells, if anything goes wrong, they will. Caleb then goes to Chetney. Caleb says that he's honored to have Chetney here. Caleb says that he used to look at the toys in the windows and dream of having one day, but he was too poor back then. But he's no longer a child, and he's an adult with his own money. He says that he now has several of Chetney's pieces upstairs in his room, in a private collection. Caleb says that it's a great honor to have Chetney here, and Chetney gets super excited by this. Caleb says that Chetney lit a spark of imagination in him when he was young. Caleb then pulls out a wooden shield and says that he'd like for some words to be engraved into the shield by Chetney that say 9 hells carved into it. He tells him how to correctly spell 9 for the mighty 9. Chetney says that he'll do it, and he'll carve representations of their groups into it as well. Chetney then begins to get to work. Yasha asks if he has any pieces of Chetney's work here, and then Caleb flies upstairs and grabs his collection and brings them back down. He has a wooden cat. Surprise, surprise, he has a cat. A large lizard on 2 legs that has a moving part to it, and a gorilla. He also pulls out a wooden egg. It's the 5th egg from the collection that they were talking about with Waylon not too long ago. Imogen says that the egg is super rare, and the last person that had it had some sort of trap for it. Caleb says that he keeps his in an extra dimensional space, which is fucking hilarious. Chetney says that he remembers the lizard and takes it. He takes out an alligator. He asks if Caleb would be willing to swap because he misses the old days of, his older toys. They do swap. Fern and Jester are finally back, and Fern asks about the egg, and she wants to look at it. He hands it over to her. Imogen inside Caleb's mind tells him to keep an eye on it. Caleb mentions that he already has telekinesis on it. Fern tries to pocket it, but he notices. He tries to pull it away from her, but she seems stronger than his telekinesis spell, which is wild. Caleb says that he'd like to keep it, and Fern says that she wants to keep it as well, but she gives it back. Chenny says that he can make one for her, but she wants one of the 5. She actually wants all 5. Caleb then returns his toys to where they were before, so that they're not stolen. Caduceus goes to Breus. He asks if Breus is the token man of faith in the group. Breus says yes, and Caduceus says that he can see conflict in him and thinks that talking to another person of faith is the best way to get clear insight. They can't be conflicted with where they're going anyway. Breus agrees. He says, "How do you know if your faith is directed in the right direction without any sign?" Caduceus says that people find faith for many reasons, and asks where he found his worship, and asks if he still follows the Platinum Dragon. Breus says that he kind of does, and but he was also followed another force. He says that the people he's met are pointing him back to the Platinum Dragon, however. He doesn't know whether to believe his heart or his friends. Caduceus is surprised that those are 2 different things. Caduceus says to not get caught up in the question, but instead to find the answer. Sometimes the answer is in the mercy of the winds. Maybe the Platinum Dragon didn't fail Breus, but the people did. Caduceus asks who Breus is pledged to, and Breus says that he doesn't really know right now. Caddy asks for the options, and Breus says that he's got some good ones and bad ones. Caduceus says that that's what you need sometimes. Maybe he should try some honesty. Caduceus can help with that. Breus says that that's new in his life, and he tells Caduceus that he follows Asmodeus. Caduceus says that he's actually heard worse before, which I'm curious what that is. Breus says that he was tossed aside and he gave Breus power. He felt good with it. Caduceus says that that's a good place to heal, just not to get stuck in. Breus asks how he knows when the healing has been done. Caduceus says that when it's time to leave. Breus doesn't know when time it is to leave. Caduceus says that he joined this group late, and he points to the Mighty Nine and says when he first joined them, it was a vertigo-inducing experience. He thought about going home, but figured out he was what they needed and vice versa. Breus asks if Caduceus thinks that he is the same, and Caduceus says that he might be. Breus thinks that that's very interesting. Caduceus says that it's a pleasure to fight alongside a paladin of the Bell's Hells. Breus says that being a paladin of the Hells sounds nice, but which one? Very interesting. I kind of like that. Bo thinks it's time for everyone to go to rest. She notes that the Bells are going to be fighting Ludinus, and she warns them to watch out for him. Imogen asks how they didn't know what he was doing after watching him for so long. She says that he knew that he was up to something, they just didn't have all the context that they needed. She says to watch themselves. Orm says that they'll do what it takes to beat him, and Ashton goes to Fern and says sorry about her egg. She says that she wants all 5, she's a collector after all. He asks if she wants to work some of that frustration off, and Fern agrees. The 2 of them go to bed. Yasha comes back and says that Breus and her forgot to fight. Breus says that everyone is heading to bed so they can rest up. He'll take it as her forfeit. The 2 of them argue about it for a minute, but Bo eventually calls Yasha back to bed. Lana and Imogen go to bed to, do the same thing that everyone else is doing, presumably. Caleb goes to Imogen and Lana's room and asks for Imogen. Lana says that she wants to be a part of the conversation as well, and Caleb is okay with it. They all float up to the top floor where the closed shutter is, and he opens it. He floats up into another floor with 9 rooms with another shutter above it that opens up as well. They float outside of the tower, and it's like they're in space. However, Lana can see where the skybox ends. If you get it, you get it. As they move, it's like they see 50 versions of themselves moving alongside them, sort of a little bit behind them, like echoes. Caleb says that tomorrow there are many possibilities. He knows about Imogen and her mother and how close she is to this. He spoke with Keyleth and Allura. He knows that she's on the edge of things. He understands her position a little bit. It's impossible to know what she'll do, tomorrow, but there are many possibilities. He says that all she can do is focus on her heart and those around her. He doesn't know what's right. He tells her to follow her heart, the power of illusion. She says one of the most powerful people she's ever met. Caleb says that he has his limitations. He says that she's fighting for the world, and Imogen says that she's well aware of what's at stake. Caleb says that he can see her talent. It radiates off of her. He says that he's sorry he won't be able to see it tomorrow. But he sees that they all have potential. He tells them to choose well. Imogen asks what he would do, and he says that it's hard to know outside of the moment. Gods aren't really his specialty anyway. Imogen asks for ways under Ludinus' skin, and Caleb says that mockery works with most powerful men. They have their work cut out for them. Caleb then pulls out an Intuit charge and gives it to Imogen. For those of you who don't know what an Intuit charge is, it is a powerful bomb that you activate, and when someone enters the radius, it sets off the explosion. It is what the Mighty Nine used to take out most of the Tomb Takers back in Campaign 2, which is like the final set of villains. Like, they used it to take out most of them. It was pretty wild. Caleb says that they should rest up and thanks them for their time. Imogen thanks Caleb. She sees why Essek and he work. He says that it took time. Imogen says that the matron made them fight her mother, and she trusted her mother in the wrong moment. It was a bad call. Caleb asks if it was her mother. She says it might not have been, but maybe the matron knows something that she doesn't. Caleb doesn't know either. It's up to Imogen to find the answer. Imogen says that one of her echoes might have a mother that she can't trust, but maybe she does. Caleb hopes that they can have a more relaxed dinner one day. Lana says that it looks like everyone's talking about going to the Taste of Tal'Dorei. Something to look forward to then. Lana says, like Allura said, this is not a goodbye. They then all head down and go back to their rooms. Retroactively before bed, however, Lana gets Fern to identify the mask of the Raven Queen. It's called the Mask of the Matron. They read it to themselves, but no one tells the fucking viewers what it is at all. Seriously, they didn't say anything to us about it. They just all read it, which is insane and really annoying. And I couldn't find anything anywhere about it. Breas asks for inspiration from Dorian for his piece of art about Aurum, and he gets it. Jester also guides him as well because she wants to help out. Jester asks if Ford doesn't want to get married or to do a wedding here. It feels like he regrets asking her the question. Ford says that he just wants her to have the real thing, and she agrees with that. Ford says that it's a vote of confidence that they will succeed and make it out of here. Jester agrees, and Ford asks to have no cats at the wedding because he seems to be allergic to these ones. Jester remembers that Laudna has Sprinkle now, and then Pate jumps up and scares the shit out of Ford, who shoots Pate with a Eldritch Blast. Jester says that they'll get him back in the morning, him being Sprinkle, and says that Laudna doesn't know that Sprinkle is actually Artie, which is the Traveler, and hopes that he doesn't do anything weird. Meanwhile, back in Imogen's room, Sprinkle tries to run away from Laudna, but Laudna mage hands him and brings him back to bed. He is terrified. Imogen says that she'll have to give Sprinkle back in the morning, and Laudna agrees, a little bit upset about it. Chetney is still up and he's working on the shield. He is fully naked next to the fireplace doing so while he's working. He rolls a dex check of 17, and it's pretty well made, but he doesn't finish it when he falls asleep, because he falls asleep mid-work, and then wakes up early to finish it before anyone else wakes up. Chetney makes it to the next day, because he rolls his little, does he die that night thing. Dorian, however, goes to Aurum's room. Aurum says that he was trying to go to Dorian's room as well. Dorian sits with him, and he says that Aurum has been quiet. Aurum says that he has feelings for Dorian, and is out of practice and doesn't want to be a burden. He says that he's happy they got to see each other before tomorrow. Dorian feels like things are being swept aside. There's been no time for things. Dorian says that Aurum is the reason he's here, and that has always been the case. Aurum made him feel like part of the group. Dorian has never felt anything like this, and maybe Aurum was just the first kind face he ever saw. He asks to hold him. He doesn't want to do anything more than to comfort Aurum. The two of them then go to bed. Dorian holds Orem tight. Dorian thinks about the other choices that they could have made, but falls asleep while doing so. Orem thinks to himself that this is okay, and he falls asleep after as well. The parties then rest up, having made some new friends. Tomorrow they march for everything, and here is where the session ends. So there you have it, episode 111 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role, and I'm going to sound like a massive hypocrite, because in the last episode I complained about not much happening and them going over the same plans over and over again, and sort of, the only handful of things that were different were meeting the Mighty Nine and then having the whole vision with Ashton, right? I complained about how last episode it felt like not much happened. Well, not much happened in this one. They went from one location where they were going to rest to another location that they rested, but I don't know. I loved every second of this one. I thought it was awesome. I am a huge Mighty Nine fan, obviously. I love the tower. The tower is my favorite thing of all time. It's one of my favorite, locations in Critical Role, if that makes sense, even though technically it's not like a defined place in Exandria. It's a pocket dimension, but it is still one of my favorite locations. It's awesome. Just like how the what the hell is that place called? The Happy Time Fun Ball. I forget the floating halls of Halas or something. I think that's what it's called. But these extra dimensional spaces are one of my favorite things in Critical Role. And Caleb or Liam is so good at describing it that I cannot do it justice. It's amazing. I love how this whole tower works, and just the interactions between themselves. Matt didn't do anything. Matt just watched this entire episode, 3.5 hours of Matt just sitting there watching it and enjoying it, which was awesome. He got to be a viewer like us, which was great. And not many moments like this happen in Campaign 3, where it's all giggles, jokes, 24/7, right? This was 3 hours of laughing, giggling, joking, having interesting interactions between their characters. It was super just fun to watch. It hasn't, lately in Campaign 3, it's been super tense, meeting gods, fighting villains, moving about, setting things up to do the meeting of gods and fighting villains. It's been tense constantly. And this is truly the calm before the storm. And it was very enjoyable for them to be able to have that calm before the storm, because it was super fun and super engaging. Seeing characters interact with each other, seeing players talk to themselves was funny as hell. And it was just enjoyable 24/7. The whole thing was just fun the entire time. So unlike the last episode where not a lot got done, it wasn't terribly enjoyable because of what they were doing, which was shopping and shit. But this one was enjoyable because it was a lot of true character progression, where Caduceus and Breus had an excellent conversation. Orem and Caleb had an excellent conversation. Jester and Ashton had great conversations. So many good conversations from from characters from a previous campaign to push the narrative forward for the new characters in this campaign. I think that's fucking awesome, and it was super fun and super enjoyable. And that's the whole episode. So, very fun for me. I do feel a little robbed, however, because I would have loved to have seen a big combat with all 15 of them there, but goddamn, that would have been messy. But, it would have been fun nonetheless to see. Well, that's about all I really have to say about the episode. There is one more thing that I do want to talk about. So in this episode, they actually announced that they were making these, hockey jerseys for, an anniversary. It says, it's a gold and black Critical Role hockey jersey with the number 15 on it, right? And it's super sick because it's 2015, that's when the stream started and all that sort of stuff. Super cool, super awesome. And they're only making a limited amount. And as soon as they announced it, I went on to the website to look at it. And by the time I was there, it was completely sold out. It was 8 minutes in. 8 minutes in. 250 is not enough, okay? 250 of these, listen, if you haven't seen it, I want you to look it up, because the jerseys look sick. I don't like hockey. I hate hockey. I'm Canadian who doesn't like hockey. That jersey was sick. I would have worn that jersey fucking everywhere this year, because we're currently in hockey season and everyone's wearing a jersey. I would have worn that jersey and it would have been awesome. But no, they were sold out. And 250 wasn't enough, okay? I know they were hand-stitched and all that, but it wasn't enough. That was a super low number. I looked at it as soon as they announced it. I went to the website instantly, and it was sold out. It's mind-boggling. So if you were one of those people who bought it, I'm extremely jealous of you. Fuck you for being faster than me. But also, thank you for watching. I appreciate you listening to me bitch about this last little bit. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.